This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Oh, what's up, man?
What's happening, baby? How you feeling? You feeling good?
I'm good, man. I'm good, except that I'm in Times Square in a Disney store right now. So my daughter is probably going to cost me a lot of money by the time I get off the show. Other than that, it's good.
But that's all. But it's all good. It's for her,
Yeah,
man. You know what I mean? What are you gonna do? Say no? No, you're not
Right.
gonna do that. So
No.
you know that's the way it goes. These are the sacrifices. This is why we work.
Yes,
You know, we work to provide, baby. You know,
Yep.
it's
That's
all
exactly
good.
right. That's exactly right.
By the way, why do I think the Sean Payton thing is going to be a disaster in Denver? Once I heard that Rex Ryan is in the mix, and I just I got to tell you, bro, I don't sense this having a happy ending for Bronco fans.
Yeah, it seems like it goes one or two ways, right? It goes like it's a disaster, and by midway through the year, everybody wants to get rid of Sean and Russ, and the whole conversation is how did they do this? Or for some reason, some odd reason, the mixed match pieces. It does feel like it's a mix and match. You know, with Sean Payton, doesn't really seem like the same personality as Russ. Rex doesn't seem like the same personality as either of them, and you're going to try to make it all work. Sometimes weird things work. And so I'm not sure which way it'll go, but it's going to get plenty of headlines. I'm sure Denver's going to be a spot that's going to be talked about a lot on the talk shows, good or bad, all season.
Yeah, no, I kind of get that feeling, man, overall. Fangio, brother, I don't know about you, but up until about, 2 days ago, I still had like Dolphin fans freaking out, like he hasn't signed. It's like, yo, bro, chill out. It's already done. The old
Right.
man's coming. Relax already.
Oh, yeah, trust me. I got mentions as well. Is Fangio done? Is Fangio done? And so when they saw that a couple days ago, it kind of put the relief on all Dolphins fans that, yes, it's official. I had Dolphins fans, even after the Eagles lost their DC, asking me, oh, well, is he going to renege again and go to Philly? And so now it's done. Fangio's a Dolphin, and everybody can move on with their world.
And by the way, he never reneged in the first place.
Right. No, he just told them to be patient. Just be patient. We're bad at patience. I'm going to talk about my daughter because I'm taking her on this trip this week. But I had a conversation with my daughter this morning about patience because we were waiting in line to go on the elevator. And she's like frantically hitting the elevator and waiting for it to come. And we're in New York. It takes a long time for the elevator. And I'm like, patience, babe. Patience. It's a virtue. Learn it, please. And sometimes I feel like I have to have the same conversation with Dolphins fans. I know you've been hurt before, and so it's tough. You're always waiting to get hurt again. But sometimes patience is all you need, and in this case, that's all it was. A little patience.
You know anything about the assistant coaches that he may be wanting to add to his staff? I know we got the Donatel young man being interviewed. Anything else?
Yeah, Donatel would make sense as a secondary coach there. They're going to keep Sam Madison, but I think right now he's probably looking like he'll be the cornerbacks coach. Last year, he was more of the secondary coach, and Gregory was the safeties coach. So maybe he goes to just a position, and overall, you have a new guy running the secondary room. And then he's going to need a new outside linebackers coach after they got rid of Ty McKenzie. And so you can kind of look down at his roots. The problem this time of year is that everybody's looking for assistants. So he's competing with 4 or 5 different teams right now, and you're trying to figure out how can you get guys out of their contract because you're talking about position coach jobs right now. And so it's hard to get a linebacker coach to come be a linebacker coach elsewhere because he's in the contract and you're not going to let him out. And so you're a little bit limited in options. So even an assistant linebacker coach, you got to let him out of his contract to be a linebacker coach. You can't, teams can be strict and say, hey, no, we'll decline it. So I don't really have any names yet as far as that position. I'm also intrigued to see, does he keep the rest of the staff? Does he want to make any more changes? And then kind of from there, we go to personnel. I know a lot of Dolphins fans weren't happy, but from what I understand, the special teams coach, Danny Crossman, will be back. And so everything
Are you
will
shocked?
be pretty much.
Are you shocked?
I'm not shocked because he's a survivor. He survived three different coaching regimes, and so I don't know the full reason, but whatever it is, he's a survivor. So maybe it's his relationship with Chris Greer, or maybe he does something behind the scenes that we don't see. But obviously, his special teams numbers haven't been great, and he's doing something to survive. So I'm surprised. I'm surprised based on his performance as a coach, but not necessarily because I've seen him survive throughout the last 3 or 4 years.
What was it? Destiny's Child that has this song, Survivor? Is that the one?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah?
That is correct. That is correct. That is a music that I do know. Our whole half of our last segment was.
By the way, but you did you end up okay? You do know De La Soul now, right? You kind of felt silly,
yes,
right?
I've heard some of his songs. Now I will say I am not a De La Soul expert.
Them. By the way, them, not him.
Yes, them. I'm not a De La Soul expert by any means. Like
you knew it. But
I've heard it. I've heard it before. Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
I've heard it several times. I think it was on I think I heard one of the songs on a video game I used to play back in the day too. I'm not sure, but I remember hearing the melody and I'm like, yeah, I've heard this song countless times.
God, me myself and I is like, it's like an all timer, bro. It's like
absolutely
a banger.
Yeah,
like
that's why I texted you right when I heard that song.
Yeah,
and then one other I heard that I texted you about. And I was like, yeah, I've heard these songs before. So
did you get to listen to Us Three or Diggable Planets or Arrested Development?
I didn't go to Arrested Development, but I heard Us Three and I heard Diggable Planet. So I kind of did my I did.
And Us Three, you had never heard Cantaloupe?
No, I had not. That was my first time hearing that for sure.
But it was good. But it was good, right?
It was.
It was good.
It was good.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah.
It was good for sure. So
that era is so good, man. There's so many good rap bands rap acts at that time.
There were so many, and I'm reminded of it because I grew up listening, or I actually not growing up. I went back and listened to a lot of Public Enemy and NWA and a lot of the hardcore rap, and so going back and listening to De La Soul, kind of reminder of just how the variety of rap back then, because obviously De La Soul has a little bit more of a positive vibe, they're I don't know if I would say like hippie, but they had kind of like a happy
it's like a psychedelic rap, right?
Yes, exactly. And then you transpose that with like NWA talking about F the police and Public Enemy.
Talk about life. Talk about life.
Exactly what it's like in the hood, and so it's a drastic difference. I'm not saying maybe these guys came up in rough areas, but it was a different vibe of rap when rap was singularly one thing. And so it was a good reminder of me of the diversity of rap, even in the beginning.
Did you get to listen to De La Soul, the Buddy song? Did you hear that one?
No, I didn't.
I want you to hear Buddy.
Okay.
It's a great song, dude. And listen to the lyrics really well. And it's just so good the way it flows and the way it talks about human beings, like your buddy, different kinds of buddies. And you'll see what I'm talking about when you hear this song. It's really good. Overall. All right, so free agency. I think the one position that they're going to try to fill badly is that middle linebacker spot. What do you think happens there? Because Fangio's going to need a badass middle linebacker. They really don't have one, man. I like their werewolves on the outside. Okay, I like Phillips and I like Chubb in the club, but I need that werewolf in the middle.
Yeah, I mean, you really just start looking at what the past history is of Vic Fangio, and a lot of times we have a new coach, they need somebody to implement their defense. And a lot of times that starts in the middle, which is that safety position, that linebacker position, or the defensive tackle position. And usually it's linebacker or safety because those guys can communicate the whole defense. And so I would look at some of his former players. I haven't got a deep dive into free agency yet. That'll be something I do in the next week or two after I get back. But you start to look at some of his former players who are free agents. I think A.J. Klein is one who I think is coming up, who's a linebacker that makes a lot of sense for me. I do think they'll add multiple linebackers because that's a room that needs depth, and so don't be surprised if they still bring back a guy like Landon Roberts. Well, I know he's had some mixed reviews for fans, but maybe he has competition and maybe he has a specific role rather than being their their main guy there. And then
He can
you
be
know,
he can be his role of 2-down
right.
linebacker in running situations, bro.
Although I do think in Spurs this year he showed that he can do things. You just don't want him to play some of your best tight ends. Like you can get exposed in that. So you need your
I don't want him.
defensive.
I don't want him
Right.
covering at all, bro. I'm
Right.
sorry.
So
Yeah.
what I think is interesting is I'm curious what Vic Fangio's view of Jerome Baker is going to be, because
He don't fit.
his
He
con-
don't fit. He don't fit.
so Jerome Baker's contract is guaranteed for this year, so he'll be here in 2023 in some capacity. But don't assume that he automatically has a 3-down every
No.
down role. And so, he's got to earn his way onto the roster. Shannon Tyndall is the guy they drafted, but they drafted him in mind of a Patriot style scheme. How does he fit? And so, Vic Fangio, he did an interview with the Dolphins team site that I was listening to this morning. And he was like, hey, I'm going to give everybody a fresh slate, right?
I saw
But in
that.
the same token, you pay Vic Fangio $4.5 million. He's going to have a lot of control over who plays, who doesn't, who's on his roster, who's not. And so if he doesn't like some of these guys who are already paid and core members of his team or supposed to be, then they're just going to move from it. So I think they come into this linebacker position and they might be starting fresh.
By the way,
They might,
they've done that with Gesicki the last two coaches.
yeah,
The last two
absolutely.
coaches, he didn't fit what they wanted to
Right.
do, and they
Yep. They
refused to
paid.
play him.
Exactly. They paid Mike Gesicki over $11 million last year.
Yeah.
And, I think he probably had close to the same amount of catches as Durham Smythe did, it felt like, or at least the playing time. And so, yeah, clearly when you bring in a new coach, like they did with Mike McDaniel last year, like they're doing with Vic Fangio, you give them the freedom to say, it doesn't matter what guys are paid. It doesn't matter where guys are drafted. You can do what you can with your scheme. And so assuming that a guy like Jerome Baker or a Raekwon Davis or a Shannon Tyndall, guys who were either drafted higher or got paid, are automatically going to be core pieces of the defense, I think is a mistake. So I think, Javon Holland's going to be a core piece of defense. He's going to be there regardless, right? Xavier Howard, at least for the next year, is going to be a core piece of this defense. Christian Wilkins is going to be a core piece of the defense. Zach Sealer as well, Jalen Phillips as well. I think beyond that, there's no guarantee for anyone else.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. I agree on that. And I think when you look at Baker, I would not be surprised if something you notice this offseason is Baker builds up his body. And
Yeah.
he may have to pick up a couple of extra pounds of muscles. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
absolutely.
Because they may want him to do something a little bit different than he normally does. And he may
Yep.
have to fight through some traffic more often. He may have to be a better run stopper or try to be, that kind of stuff. I don't think he will have the luxury of being the outside blitz cover guy like he's kind of been, throughout. And I thought Flo actually maximized him 2 years ago.
Yeah,
I
he
thought
did, and that's
Flo
what got him paid.
yeah, I thought Flo really knew how to use him the right way. But obviously the scheme changed, and then now it's really changed even more. And so I'm wondering if they're going to have. Remember what they did to the safety 3 years ago, and he was a corner, and then they moved him to safety. Bobby McCain.
Bobby McCain. Yep.
And
Yep.
then he still, because of that, he ended up injured with a shoulder by the end of the year because he was
Yep.
just worn out doing things that he wasn't built to do. So I'm
Yes.
wondering if there's going to be a little bit of that with Jerome Baker this year.
Yes. Let me give you 2 points of this, and then I got to run because my daughter's
Okay, go
a
ahead.
little restless here. But 2 things. I think it's a very interesting point because if you think about it, at the end of the season, they have like what they call end of the year reviews with players. It's usually the day after the season, and they tell them this is what you sucked at, this is what you're good at, this is what we see for you next year. And a lot of times, this is where offensive linemen get the conversation of, hey man, we're going to move you to guard. So put on 20 pounds. Do what you need to do. We're moving you to guard, or we're moving you to tackle, and we need you to lose weight. Safeties as well. I think the interesting element, that's one thing. And so they could have had that conversation with Baker. A lot of times we don't know that until the summer. The second part of that is I wonder how much of those conversations have been had with the defensive guys with the uncertainty of the staff. Vic Fangio hasn't been officially hired until last week. And so guys have been on vacation. Guys have been gone. Technically, I don't know how much rules are always followed, but technically, there's no contact with players until the April game. And so how much does the late hire of Fangio and then his assistants that he brings in impact the vision they have for players? And like Fangio said, he likes to give them a fresh slate and see them in person. And so maybe he can't make a decision on where he sees a guy, and so he sees him in camp in the off-season program. And so all of that makes it intriguing because obviously this is a team that's built to win now. And so you don't want to have a transition year, but it makes me think that for some guys or for some parts of Fangio's scheme, there may be a little bit of a transition where maybe he has guys here for a year and then he gets more of his guy in that position. We mentioned Jerome Baker, Raekwon Davis, guys like that. If they don't end up performing, maybe they're a 1 year stop here, and then he gets in his guy for that spot in 2024. Those are things that I think are part of the offseason that we should keep an eye on.
There you go. Follow him on Twitter at Cameron Wolfe. Catch his work there at the NFL Network and catch him twice a week here doing his thing with the KSDT CPA, Miami Dolphins and NFL Report. Get back to the family. Enjoy. You're in Disney, right? You're in Disney World, right?
No, I'm in New York in Times Square, but I'm in a Disney
Times
store.
Square. Okay, in the Disney store. Okay, I
Yeah.
need a couple of extra tracks for my monorail. So if they have them there, get me a couple of boxes for those, okay? I needed to extend it around the tree a little bit more, okay?
I got
All
you.
right. You be good, brother.
Right.
Be safe out there. Enjoy the family.
Will do.
You got it. Cameron Wolfe, baby. Ah, yes. The Wolf Pack has been unleashed.